If you just started riding on Zwift or you are just returning after some period of inactivity, you might be a little overwhelmed about what to do first. And since the year 2026 is right around the corner, I'm going to present you with 26 things I would personally do if I just started Zwifting. If you already have a bike and trainer you can use, you are all set, but if you don't, my tip number 1 would be to get a Zwift Ride bundle. It is an incredible set of an indoor frame and a very capable smart trainer. It's incredibly well built and it's equipped with a set of controllers that you can use to navigate the menus, use virtual shifting and use the in-ride features like steering. What's more, you can get 10% of this set with my links in the description. As of now, the one in EU is currently interrupted, but should resume in the future, so depending on when you watch this video, the link might or might not work. Speaking of equipment, my tip number 2 is to get a big powerful fan, or preferably 2 of them, one positioned in the front and one positioned in the back. You don't need to splurge on smart fans with all the bells and whistles. The important thing is it produces a sufficient airflow to keep you cool whenever you ride, because once you start overheating, your performance goes down and in some cases it can even become dangerous. Number 3. Download Zwift Companion app. Zwift as a platform has 2 separate applications. The main one, when you ride, that's available for many different platforms, and then Zwift Companion, which is just a mobile app and acts like Zwift-themed social network. In this app, you will be able to see your fitness tracker, befriend and chat with other Zwifters, plan your rides and races, and review the activities you and your friends recently completed. Tip number 4. Select Climb Mount Everest challenge right away and forget about it. This is a 2-part challenge. The first part is completed by climbing 8,848 meters, and that's cumulative, not within one ride. For that you receive Trek a Monda frame as a reward, but that is not what this challenge is all about. After that you can keep this challenge active, and once you accumulate 50,000 vertical meters, you receive the coveted Tron bike. My tip number 5 is to set your weight and height correctly and keep them updated. Both those parameters, together with your power data, impact how quickly your avatar moves in the game. That is essential not only to ensure a fair racing environment, but also that your fitness data and your PRs are accurate. By having wrong weight set, you cheat not only other racers, but mainly yourself. Number 6. Do an FTP test as early as possible. It is by far the best way to gauge your starting fitness level and getting a baseline for any training program you might wanna do. As much as I think it is not a particularly good protocol, if you are new to Zwift, I would actually recommend you doing a ramp test. Other protocols are more accurate but require some level of pacing experience, while ramp test is completely foolproof. You simply ride until you can't go any further. I have made a video dedicated to all sorts of FTP testing, so if you are interested to learn about the differences, watch it after finishing this one. Number 7. If you want to be successfully racing on Zwift, you need to train your 5-minute power output, simply because how the majority of Zwift racing courses are designed. Apart from a few outliers, most climbs and thus efforts you are going to be doing are somewhere in between 3 and 8 minutes in duration, and you need to be really prepared to go deep during those efforts. That might be somewhat counterintuitive, as most riders strive to mainly increase their FTP, but the truth is, higher FTP won't help you nearly as much in Zwift racing as your 5-minute power. And speaking of racing, my tip number 8 is to start racing as early as possible. First and foremost, it is a lot of fun, and if you start early, chances are you will never fall into the indoor cycling is boring pitfall. Secondly, Race on Zwift is a fantastic substitute to VO2 max workouts that could be really daunting when you do them alone. You don't need to be worried about racing. The worst thing that can happen is you getting dropped. Z-Racing is a great choice for racing beginners. Tip number 9 relates to racing as well. When you sign up for a race, make sure you enter the pen early, ideally half an hour before the start of the race. That way you will lock your position at the front of the pen and you won't need to do an unnecessary effort to chase the front right from the start. After you join the pen, you can leave it with no worries. The race will remember your reserved position. My tip number 10 is to register on Zwift Power website. Here you can find all your racing results and statistics, but also results of other people and their performances in any race they've done. But what's more, Zwift Power has a way to identify suspicious performances, so if there was someone who was cheating in the race, Zwift Power will disqualify them from being shown in the results list. For many races, having a Zwift Power account is mandatory, so you might as well do it right from the start. And tip number 11 is very similar to the previous one. Sign up for an account on zwiftracing.app. This is an incredible website that takes all your racing data and categorizes your skill into one of 10 categories, but it does it differently than Zwift does with their Zwift Racing Score. This website uses ELO-based system that has been proven many times, and if I am completely honest, I would just wish for Zwift to acquire this as their official categorization system. My tip number 12 will annoy some people, but here it is. Set your trainer difficulty at 30%. If you do not know what this slider does and what implications this setting have, take a look at my video where I talk about it, but in short, setting it at 30% will still allow you to feel the road gradients, but you won't need to shift as often and as much. Very important, especially when you are racing. Number 13. The same way bad equipment can hold you back in real life, it can hold you back on Zwift as well, because different bike frames perform, well, differently. The great news is you can get one of the best bike frames in the game super early, once you reach level 10 to be exact, Canyon Aero 2024. If you are a new rider, buy it as soon as you can and start working on upgrading it immediately. But when you reach level 10, you might still not have enough drops, which is the in-game currency to purchase the Aero. That problem has a solution, and it is my tip number 14. Ride with pace partners. Those are bots that continuously ride in the Zwift world, and if you ride alongside them, you get an increasing multiplier to your drop acquisition. What is more, because of that, there is always a lot of riders around them that will give you ride-ons, which will further increase your drop acquisition rate. My tip number 15 might be one of the most important ones in this list. Always have a good warm-up before hard efforts, but especially races. If you go into hard efforts with cold muscles, not only your performance will be very subpar, but you are also risking an injury. Seriously, I cannot overemphasize it. Always warm up before hard efforts. My preferred warm-up protocol is the ultimate warm-up from the 30-minute workouts folder on Zwift. Tip number 16 is to prioritize routes that you haven't completed yet when riding. You can identify these routes by them having a gray badge in the routes list, and not only will riding these routes allow you to become more familiar with the individual worlds, which will ultimately help you later in races, but also for the first completion of each route you get a nice sum of experience points. My tip number 17 is to bookmark Zwifter Bike's website. By the way, I will link all the mentioned sites in the description down below. This particular website allows you to see which bike frame and wheel set is the best for each individual route, but it can also give you an estimation how long will it take you to complete a route or climbing segment based on your weight, height and power, which is very helpful when you are trying to plan your racing effort. Number 18. Every single week Zwift releases 3 challenges: Workout of the Week, Climb of the Week and Route of the Week. Completing those challenges will award you a certain amount of experience points that depend on the length and difficulty of that challenge. So if you have nothing better to do, these are definitely worth doing. My tip number 19 is for you to try tiny races. Tiny races are weekly events held each Saturday by Zwift Insider, and they are 4 short back-to-back races that you do within 1 hour. They are very popular, they are a lot of fun, and they hurt like crazy, because the intensity in each of those races is very high and the time for recovery in between each of those races is very short. Number 20. Get access to steering and virtual shifting. If you got the Zwift right, I recommend that you already have these features. If you didn't, you need to get a set of dedicated controllers called Zwift Click. What these controllers allow you is an access to virtual shifting, which is way quicker and more precise than your standard bike shifting, but also allow you to steer, which can help you optimize your routing and position in the draft. My tip number 21 is to recon each route before you race it. I'm not saying you need to actually ride it, although that wouldn't hurt you, but at least preview it online on Zwift Insider or elsewhere. It will give you an idea where the climbs are, where you need to be worried about attacks, and where you will be able to recover. Tip number 22 is going to be crucial when you are already seriously racing. The winner of the Zwift race isn't necessarily the person who had the highest power output, it is the person who crossed the line first. What that means is you need to learn to save your energy and expend it only when it matters. That means having a good position in the draft is paramount. As a rule of thumb, riding behind the first 1/3 of the group is optimal. You already have the full draft effect, but you are ready to react to any attack that may come. When you have a long downhill after a long climb, one of the best ways to recover is to utilize super tuck, a position on the bike that is banned in real life but perfectly allowed on Zwift. And that is my tip number 23. This position allows you to ride downhill very fast without pedaling. There are few requirements for your avatar to enter super tuck. You need to be on at least 3% descent, your speed needs to be at least 57 km per hour or 35 miles per hour, you must not be in a draft of another rider, and you must not be pedaling. My tip number 24 is to wipe your bike with a damp cloth after each workout, especially if you are a heavy sweater like myself. Sweat is incredibly corrosive when it comes to contact with bike components, and you can literally destroy your bike with it. It is especially important when you want to maintain your bike in a safe condition for outdoor riding, but even if you just use it on the trainer, you definitely want to do that. I didn't, and the sweat completely corroded my handlebars. Tip number 25 is to set yourself a long-term goal. As you may or may not know, for me that was to reach A category, but yours might be different. Whatever it is though, it is a good idea to always work towards something, as it gives your riding a purpose and guidance. Last but certainly not least, tip number 26, don't forget to ride outside. Zwift is a lot of fun, but when the weather is nice, nothing can beat an outdoor ride on which you can take a deep breath of the fresh forest air. I promised you 26 tips, but here is one extra. Subscribe to this channel because there is literally hundreds of videos of tips and explanations like this. For example, this one.